Hi, I'm Dr. Gail Randall, and we're going to talk about the quarantine blues. Has anybody had quarantine cause them to gain or lose weight? Maybe you feel anxious where you didn't feel anxious before. Maybe you got depressed. Maybe you can't sleep. And the weight gain is what bothers a lot of people. Let me know, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to answer those questions this morning. I'm Dr. Gail Madeleine Randall, and I'm a physician. I'm board certified in internal medicine, gastroenterology, integrative medicine. I'm certified in functional medicine. I've been doing and learning Native American medicine for 40 years. I'm certified in Oriental medicine, to name a few. I feel that it's my job to bridge different medicines, and that forms, to me, is the power and the medicine of the future. So let's apply some of that to what to do in quarantine. How many of you think that staying inside is the right answer, for your quarantine blues? Well, obviously that's a loaded question. It's not the right answer. Everybody thinks it's not safe to go outside, like Jaws, when it's safe to go in the water. It's hard to know, but the real answer is, based on science, outside, maybe a little breeze, socially distanced. I like to call it physically distanced because we shouldn't social distance. It's part of what makes us depressed, is being away from our loved ones. If you're outside, maybe with a little breeze and away from others, at least 6 feet, so now they're saying maybe 10, you're safe. That's the safest place you can be. Even from inside your own house. Inside your own house all the time, it gets depressing, number one. And number two, it also affects your microbiome. If you're not outside, you're not touching the dirt or the earth, maybe a walk on the beach, you're not repopulating your microbiome with the soil microorganisms that need to be in there. So outside is good. Inside, in a crowded store or a crowded restaurant, not so good unless you're properly distanced. So wear your mask when you're with other people, when you go shopping or to a restaurant or wherever you go. Wear the masks, stay away. And I gave a talk last week on what the natural things that you should take to protect yourself. So what's really happening? Why are people getting depressed? Well, first of all, like I mentioned, you're separating yourself from people that, we're social beings. So that's very hard on us. If you change your microbiome, you actually can cause depression as well. And we'll talk about how you can fix that. And so what to do for depression, anxiety? The first thing I think of is meditation. Now, if you're a meditator, you know how to meditate. You already know how to meditate. So do your meditation at least once a day. That has been shown to increase your beneficial neurotransmitters for 6 hours. But there's a hack here. There's a very simple thing to do, which I'm going to do with you. I'm going to teach you. People that aren't meditators, breathe. It's something we know how to do when we're born. Watch babies breathe, and their abdomen rocks like this. So when they breathe in, their tummies come up. When they breathe out, their tummies go down. So it's the opposite of when you work out and you do the diaphragmatic breathing. So you're going to sit in a chair so that your posture is straight up like this. You're going to try to release all the tension in your body. Have your feet flat on the ground. Don't have any crossed legs or crossed arms. Breathe in through your nose for a count of 5 and count in your head. So breathe in, 3, 4, 5, and breathe out for a count of 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you just keep doing that. In for a count of 5. I want you all to do it. So breathe in for a count of 5. And allow that tummy to come up. Breathe out for a count of 6. And allow the tummy to fall. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do it with me. Breathe in. 4, 5. Breathe out. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now allow your eyes to close and just listen. Keep breathing in for a count of 5 and out for a count of 6. And do it in your head so you're not thinking about all the other worries and thoughts and what ifs. You're just counting. And you just focus on the numbers and do the breath and do it for 5 minutes. And they've shown if you do this effective breathing for 5 minutes, you'll increase your beneficial neurotransmitters for 6 hours. Now, if anybody's a business person out there, do the math. That's amazing. You also slow down your heart rate, slow down your brain waves, slow down those monkey mind thoughts that you're having, lower your blood pressure, and relax yourself. You have control. This is your stress rheostat, if you will. You turn down the temperature in your room. You can turn down the stress in your body by doing this breathing. So that's one very simple, no-cost tool that we all have. So I highly recommend that. If you know how to meditate, do it. People that know how to meditate they know what to do. So I don't need to tell you about that. Okay, you can open your eyes now and come on back to the room. So what else can you do? Well, I mentioned going outside, that it is safe as long as you're distanced and you stay away from others, at least 6 feet. More information on that. If you're walking with someone, say you're outside, the safest place with masked people is the person in front of you is safe. So I always say I wear a mask because I love you and because it's really protecting the other people. So if you're to the side of someone, as we normally walk, or behind, you're more at risk. So it's better for someone to be a little bit in front and to the side, and you can do your conversation that way. It's really not that awful. You can still go out for a walk with your friend, and it's the safest place to be. So the other thing you can do is sink yourself into your hobby, things you love. I happen to have a cup here, which my friend made for me. It's me, actually, and my horse, Tatanka. So I say Tatanka is my yoga, because when I go ride my horse, and it's very safe, it's outside, I don't see anybody else, and he's not going to transmit me anything. And of course, we have so much love between us and so much fun. So you may have a dog or a cat or another animal that you love, and spend time with your animal. Your animal will calm you. Anything else that you love, if you love biking, if you love running, whatever it is that you love, could be inside, could be reading, could be watching a funny movie. Occupy your mind with things that are beneficial. If you love writing, I love to write. I put aside a little time every day to write. I just wrote a book called Soul Doctoring, Heal Yourself, Heal the Planet. So watch for it, because it'll have tons of tools in there, not only how to cure the quarantine blues, but whatever else you have. So that's going to be a good book. It's going to be coming out soon. It's pending publication. So we were talking before about being inside can affect your microbiome. And not only that, it's all those cleansers we're using constantly, which we need to do. We need to use those. But, it's also altering our microbiome. What does that mean? It means the good bacteria are not there as they should be. And there may be more bacteria that are making us unhappy. Your gut is your second mind, and there's a brain-gut connection, and it affects your emotions. This has been proved by science. So we want to make sure we have a healthy gut, and the way to do that is to eat well. Of course, the reason a lot of us gained weight is we sort of said, okay, this is my excuse. I'm going to pound carbs now or eat fatty foods. Well, those foods, carbs and fat and sugar, are exactly what makes the bad bacteria grow. So that's what we don't want to eat. So you want to feel better, take those foods out. And there's a reason you're craving sugar. So don't feel like you're different or out of it or out of control. When you eat that sugar, for a second, it pops up your serotonin. And when it pops up your serotonin, you feel better for a second. But you're drawing from an overdrawn bank account, so you're going to actually feel worse, ultimately. So it's better to try not to eat those things. Eat things that can replace them, like fruits. The more fruits and vegetables you eat, the healthier you're going to be. The heavy fat and the heavy carbs is what breeds the bad bacteria. And your emotions literally come from your gut, because something like 70 or 80% of your neurotransmitters come from your gut. So if your gut is out of balance, then you're not getting the right beneficial neurotransmitters. The bacteria can make substances which agitate you, that disturb your sleep. So get with it right away and start cleaning up that gut. Don't eat sugar, don't eat heavy fats, and eat lots of fruits and vegetables. Take a good probiotic, or eat fermented foods like sauerkraut. As a matter of fact, it came out not that long ago that sauerkraut binds to receptors in your gut that actually prevent COVID. Why? Because they're receptors for COVID. So the sauerkraut binds to them and doesn't allow that to happen. So it's preventative. So eat your fermented foods. It's good for your gut, which is good for you overall, and it protects you from COVID. So that's a win-win there, all right? So get that gut clean. Eat lots of fiber, foods that have lots of fiber. You can either eat oatmeal, or I like to take my fiber in my fruits, like mangoes and blueberries are perfect prebiotics for your probiotics. So eat those. Another way to get good probiotics, we talk about, there is a book actually that's called Eat Dirt. And that's not a joke, because the spore probiotics from the earth are actually very good for us. So maybe get into gardening a little bit. Go stick your hands in that dirt and not only feel the Mother Earth's energy, but fix your gut at the same time, and then grow yourself some fruits. I have 14 fruit trees in my little backyard, so I'm taking down carbon dioxide and adding oxygen as much as I can for my little plot of land. So that is my diagnosis and I guess I would say prescription for the quarantine blues. So it'd be eat right, exercise, how about that? Take the right supplements. The other thing that you can take if you really are quite anxious, some really good adaptogenic herbs that can help calm you, is our ashwagandha, lemon balm. These can be very helpful. Chamomile tea. So, take some of those in a tea form or a supplement form, whichever works well for you. Maybe a little 5-HTP can help you with your sleep at night, in addition to some melatonin, and perhaps some ashwagandha, which will calm you down. We have also the Randall Wellness MD store, and we have all these supplements in the store, so check it out on Shopify or Facebook. And I actually have a Quarantine Blues bundle or package, which I think is up. If it isn't, it'll be up shortly. And an anxiety package, so if you need that, or a weight loss package also. So look for that. And if anybody wants to ask me any questions, I would like to answer questions. Does anybody have any questions? Everybody's waving at me. I appreciate that. Does anybody have the quarantine blues? The other things that are sugar that a lot of people don't realize are sugar are things like carbs, like bread, crackers, cookies, anything that's refined. You want to go towards whole foods, mostly plants, things that look like what they are. So oatmeal looks like what it is. Bread, on the other hand, is ground down into a powder, and then baked. The reason it smells so good while it's baking is it's really cake without frosting. We love it, but it's a sometimes food. Because if you're constantly eating bread, first of all, the gluten disturbs the gut lining, can cause leaky gut, which then can lead to autoimmune disease later down the line. But it's the sugar, really. The sugar is the enemy. It's going to feed the bad bacteria. And then if you get a leaky gut is when your gut cells, and I am a gut doctor, need to be all right up against each other. They even have these little things called tight junctions that hold them together, and they're single layer thick. Can you imagine that big long gut you have in your body? The skin on the top has only one single layer of cells. Of course, it's convoluted and has a lot of ups and downs, but it's one single layer. And when it gets disturbed, those cells, those tight junctions loosen up because it gets inflamed and they drift apart. So the food that you're eating not only goes through the brush border, processed by the cells and released into your bloodstream, but will go straight through. And when it goes straight through like that and goes into your bloodstream, your body goes, oh my God, there's a dangerous stranger in the house. And it makes an antibody to it. And then that antibody has the potential to cross-react with proteins in your own body or other tissues. And that can cause arthritis, aching, chronic fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome, and it can even cause inflammation throughout your body. And that can lead to, down the line, and this has been studied, autoimmune disease. Particularly if you have the bad bacteria in your gut that I mentioned. There are Klebsiella, Provotilla. These kind of bacteria are autoimmune triggers. And then when the food leaks across, the bacteria and their toxins leak across, and then they start stimulating your body in such a way that it develops an autoimmune syndrome, and we don't want that. So stay away from the sugar, stay away from the refined carbs, make it a sometimes thing. I'm not expecting you to be an aesthetic and not ever eat anything bad. When it's your birthday, have a piece of cake if you like it. And if it's Thanksgiving, enjoy, celebrate. But then get back on your wagon, eat clean, and you're going to live healthy longer. Live healthy longer. That's what it's all about. And feel good. So if you stay away from the sugar, eat the right foods, that's going to go a long way. Go outside. Somebody says, is there something that can help kids through this quarantine blues? Yes. Of course, it's going to take a lot of our involvement. And, they're spending a lot of time on Zoom because all the schools are technical now. And that has its own set of, thank God we have it. But yourself, if you work with a computer, you spend a lot of time on the computer, it gets to you after a while, and it's not good for your brain. So what's good for kids, take them to the beach, take them for a walk here we have Griffith Park, but any kind of park. Take a walk in the park, take a walk at the beach, get them involved in sports, perhaps drawing, other activities other than staring at a computer screen. Don't let them play their games after getting off school and then get back on the computer to play their computer games, because they are kind of addictive and they'll want to play them. But again, it's like drawing from a bank account that's overdrawn or close to the red. So it's better that they get off the screen, put the technology aside, put the magnetic waves aside, and get outside and shake their booty or play with their dog or play with their brothers and sisters. So that's what I recommend for kids. Any other questions? Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about fiber. So I mentioned oatmeal, I mentioned blueberries, I mentioned mangoes. Some people don't want to eat that much fruit, so you can get organic psyllium. and you can put that in a shake. Randall Wellness has a great vegan, 100% vegan, 100% organic protein powder, either chocolate with Himalayan salt or vanilla. You put that psyllium powder in there and drink that once a day, and it's going to take care of your bowels. Actually, my protein powder comes with microbiome support. It already has the fiber in it, but if you need extra fiber, I recommend psyllium seed, organic psyllium seed. So that's the thing. So check that out on Shopify also. And it's really yummy. I mean, it's beyond yummy. It's also for sports people. I think that exercise is one of the answers to the quarantine blues. I think that, a lot of people are working out more now, even though they can't get in the gyms. They're finding their own way to a gym or to a workout situation. So it's a good time to mention, because a lot of us overwork out, including myself. So we need a muscle recovery system. And it turns out that the best muscle recovery is with plant-based protein. Animal-based protein comes with its own cytokines. So for those of you that know what that is, it's an inflammatory molecule. Inflammation in the body is really interesting. It's like an exponential cascade. So if you have a cytokine, well, let's say you fall down and hurt your knee. You're going to get inflammation in that knee from trauma, right? It's going to swell up, turn red. That's because of the release of cytokines and inflammatory molecules, which attract white cells, which release more cytokines and attract more white cells. So, from trauma, from infection, from inflammation, as I mentioned before, leaky gut, that's how inflammation works. It feeds itself until you do something to interrupt it or your body resolves it, okay? But the way to fight that is to keep your gut really clean. And if you start developing inflammation, use something like curcumin. We have a really good curcumin on Dr. Randall Wellness MD store. And it actually quenches the inflammatory process. So I like to use fish oil. I like to use curcumin. But there's something about curcumin a lot of people don't know. Curcumin, in order to be super effective, most of it stays in your gut. If you just eat turmeric or turmeric root, don't get me wrong, that's really good for you, that Indian food, because, again, you're fixing your gut. But when you have arthritis or you have something going on in your system, you want a curcumin that's going to get in your bloodstream. So the best kind is either water soluble or like the kind we have on Shopify, Randall Wellness Store, is lipophilic, because it absorbs into your bloodstream and you get a higher level of blood-free curcuminoids, and that cancels the inflammation much quicker. It turns out that inflammation is the common denominator for everything that we die from, almost, unless it's an accident. Think about it. What do we die from? Heart disease, cancer, other inflammatory diseases. It's a common denominator for everything that gets us down. It can cause even diabetes is inflammatory related, cancer, like I said, tumors, any kind of arthritis thing, lung disease. Keep your inflammation in your body at a very low level. You're going to live longer with higher quality. I feel like that's one of the secrets. That's one of the hacks to living healthy. I'm constantly working on, keeping my inflammatory level down. I take curcumin, I take fish oil, and I take something called SPMs, which is the serum protein resolvers. So it comes after. So it works from a different way. And being over 60, you're going to have some of this. So this is the program that's going to keep you young and youthify you and keep you moving keep you jogging, keep you doing your Pilates or whatever sports that you do. Or if you already suffer from one of these things, it's going to help you get back on your path. So again, that's curcumin, fish oil. Those are the two most important things. And then keep the sugar out. That's the secret to fighting inflammation. Any more questions? I wanted to tell you a few things that could treat your gut, because I said a lot of quarantine blues is from an imbalanced gut. So glutamine is, I call it the food of the gut. It's actually an amino acid. And every cell in your gut loves glutamine. When you put glutamine in your shake, or you take a tablet a couple times a day, your gut just goes, thank you. You know, it helps resolve any inflammation or irregularities in the lining. So it helps with that leaky gut. Other things that for your gut that can be helpful to kill off the bad bacteria are berberine. And we have these in the Randall Wellness Store. Berberine does a lot of things, but it helps keep the bad bacteria in check. And that's what we want to do. So get those substances. If you're having a lot of bloating and gas, then that's a sign that you have leaky gut, or what we call dysbiosis, which is just means you have an irregularity in the bacteria in your gut and it needs to be fixed. So you want to take something that's going to discourage the bad bacteria. Again, you want to take your fermented foods or your probiotics, and glutamine to sort of soothe the whole situation, and the curcumin to reduce any inflammation that may be going on there. So that's the hack for the gut. All right. Well, I sure enjoyed spending time with you. I'd like you to get in a few questions before I sign off here. Everybody's waving. Okay. So just to close, to remember, breathe. Number one thing for the quarantine blues, breathe. Even get your kids to do it with you. It's very simple. That 5 minutes of breathing twice a day will lower your stress rheostat. And if you're doing it with your kids, that's a good family thing to do too. Don't eat bad foods. You know, try to eat this whole foods, mostly plants, nothing refined, and not heavy fat. And exercise. Exercise is key. So any kind of exercise, even if you want to get a little trampoline and do that at home. You're welcome. That's a good exercise. Or walk. Or if you can't walk, you can even do chair yoga or exercise your arms. They have tapes for that. And think about it. You can get a pretty good heart rate going just in your chair if you're not ambulatory. So thank you for watching, and I love you guys.